Hi, this is Kishore and welcome back to KishoreLytics. In this video, we are going to write something exciting and very interesting concept called the SQL functions. And in this one tutorial, we are discuss about what is meant by the functions, and we are discuss about the types of their functions like single row functions and multi-row functions. We are discussed. And after discussing these two types of the functions, we are discuss about the nested functions also in this tutorial. And we discuss the main motive of this tutorial is the SQL functions, right? So in this SQL function, we are discuss about the string functions. So I categorize the string functions into the three categories, like how to manipulate the strings, how to categorize the strings, how to extract some results from the strings. Also discuss in this tutorial. I don't want to take much time of you guys. Let's just dive into it. Yes guys, in this video we are going to dive something exciting and very interesting concept called the SQL functions. So we discussed about the function detail in Python crash course, but in this video we are going to dive SQL functions. We are how the functions are worked in the SQLs. So the today's agenda of these sessions, I think I am visible by writing here. Today's agenda of this tutorial is the SQL functions. So in the basically we discuss about the functions detailing later. So we want to know what is meant by the functions, right? Before getting into the functions, we know about the what is meant by the types of the functions. In SQL, the functions may be classified into two types. So what are the two types, guys? So the main two types are the single row function, and the multi-row function. Yes, guys. There are two types of the functions in SQL. There are called the single row functions and the multi-row functions. Let's discuss about these functions in detail in later. So let's dive into it. So what are the functions? Before getting into the types of the functions, we want to know what are the functions. So what is mean by the functions, guys? So in SQL table, right? Imagine this is the table. We want to transform the table, right? We want to analyze some of the reports, and we want to analyze the report and give it to the manager or the business analyst. What are the things? We want to analyze, we want to transform it, we want to manipulate it, we want to modify the table, right? So that's why we want to manipulate the tables, and we want to clean the tables. There are a lot of tables, lot of mistakes in the table, right? We want to clean the table, we want to manipulate the table, we want to analyze the table, we want to transform the tables. So that's why we are going to the functions. So the functions are mean by that if you give the input value to the function, it whatever it may be the function, maybe the lower function, it may be the upper function, it may be the right function, it may be the left functions, whatever it is. If you give the input value to the functions, it has some functionality, right? Basically functions have some functionality. So if you give some input value, see here itself I have the visuals, but I'm going to write it here. If you give the input value to some functions and it gives some output values, like if you give x, if you give in yes, if you give x to the input function, it gives some output y. So that's why we are going to the functions, right? So if you are the EC student, basically if in SQL in SS signals and systems subject, you know, you're able to know, right? If you give the functions to x, if you give some signals, so if you give some signals to the functions, whatever it may be, the sign functions, it may be the question function, it gives some functions called output as y. That's why we are going to the functions. Already we discussed about the in SQL there are two types of the functions called the single rows function and the multi-rows functions. What is mean by the single rows function and what is mean by the multi-rows functions, guys? So let's discuss about this functions. So in single rows function, if we give the single input value and we will get that some single output value. If we give the Kishore to the lower, I think is a lower functions, right? If you give the Kishore to the lower function, it gives the output as the Kishore in the lower cases. So that's what it's mean by the single rows functions. As the name itself suggests, if we give the same one single value to the some functions, and if we will get the one single output value, that's what the Kishore function, single row functions is done it is. And what is mean by the multi-rows function? If you give multiple input values, as the name itself suggests, if you give the multiple input values to the single function, and the output will be the one input function, and output will be the one single value. Likewise, it as the visual itself tells, right? If you give the multiple input values like 30, 10, 20, 40 to the sum functions, what are the sum functions done? If it will match all the conducts, and it can do the summation, right? Summation, right? That's what we are going to say. 30, 10, 20, 40. If you give the summation sum functions, and it will be gives the output as 100. That's what the multi-rows functions exactly do. Are you guys beware of the what are the functions? And we are discuss about some interesting types of the functions like single row functions and multi row functions. So let's discuss about another type of the functions, and it is not the type of the functions, but it's basically used in many of the use cases, right? It's basically many of the industries use these functions. Many often we can use many of those things, and a lot of the practical parts are available. Subscribe to the KishoreLytics channel, right, guys? I have prepared some awesome tutorial and I have some sketches. Uh, yes, guys, let's discuss. Let's learn together. So let's discuss about the nested function. So what is mean by the nested function? As the name itself suggests, first of all, we want to know about the meaning of the nested. So let's discuss about the nested function, and after we will discuss of the functionality later. So what is mean by the nested? Nested. Let me tell some story. If you have the guys, are you watch the video of how the birds are building the nest? Nest means we are going to inside. Likewise, nested function means the function. I'm going to write it by here and note it down, guys. The function within inside the function. The function inside the another function. Inside the another function is called the nested function. Is called the, I think it's not visible, is called the nested functions, guys. That's all about that function. A function inside the another function is called the nested function. If you see in this visual itself, if you see inside this function, the left of the area is the inner function and outer function is the len of the Kishore. What are the functions are going to, if you guys are know about the board mass, means the board mass rule in max, means this function is very easy, right? So the what are the outputs is going to be given as the left of Kishore. See, we guys here see left of Kishore comma 2. Don't know whether the left function, len function, what are the Kishore is speaking. I explain all those functions in later, but as of now I want to explain what is mean by the nested function. First of all, in the step 1, the Kishore will be given to the left of 2. If the output is as the Kishore ki, left of 2 means first two letters. In the left side, I want the first two letters. That's what I'm going to say. And the output of the function is given as the input of the another function. That's what the lower function is. If I give the output to the lower function and if the output is a ki. Have you guys beware of this? I am explaining very clearly, right? If the function, I am giving the Kishore to the left function, and the output of the output of the one function is given as the input of the another function. That's what the next function has done. Okay, guys. Have you guys before? See, in this tutorial, in this example, I'm sorry about that. In this example, we are going to discuss about the left of 2, left of Kishore, and in this Kishore, I want the first two letters. So I'm from the left side, I want the two letters. So output of this is ki, as we discussed about here. So as of now, the output is ki. So len of, if I giving this ki to the lower function and the output is 2. Here the len of Kishore is 2, right? The output is 2. Here if I give the output of this function to the lower function, the output is ki. Small in the lower case, I will get the output. That's what I'm going to tell about the nested functions. So as we suggested, as we tell about the SQL functions basically of the two types, and in the two types we are discuss about the single row functions and the multi row functions. The single row function is basically used to calculate the row level calculations, as we discussed about the joins and set operations in the previous video. If you haven't watched that video, please make sure to watch that video and after come to this video. That's what that's only we can able to understand in this video. I've made a beautiful tutorials about the Python crash course also, and we have made a beautiful projects and lot of stuffs are available in the KishoreLytics channel. Right? Subscribe to the KishoreLytics channel, guys, and there are a lot of free courses are also waiting for you guys. So subscribe to the KishoreLytics channel. So basically, we have discussed about the SQL function is of the two types, and we have discussed about the single row function and the multi row functions. And this, what's the use case of this? And I have told, right, what is mean by the single row functions. As the name itself suggests, if we give the one value to the one function, so it will get the one value. That's what the single row functions. And the multi row function, like we give the multiple values to the single function, and it will be get as a one single output value. That's a multi row function. As the name itself suggests, we have discussed so far. So now, what the use cases of the single row functions? What the use cases of the multi row functions? Single row functions is the use case of the single row functions is the row level calculations, guys. What is mean by the row level calculation? Let's discuss about these concepts and later. But as of now, we want to discuss about the single row function. And the today's agenda of this Yeah, I'm going to write down that today's agenda of this tutorial is, we have discussed about, so far we have discussed about the functions, what is mean by the functions, and we discuss about the types of the functions, and I think we have discussed about very clearly about the functions, and we have discussed about the types of the functions, and we have discussed about the use cases of the functions. So and secondly, we discuss about the nested functions, guys. I have discussed these two topics are done, and now the third topic is the string functions. So I don't want to take much time of this tutorial. I can go with some small tutorials. Later we will get the more reach, right? So that's why we are going to the string functions. So in single row functions there are lot of types, guys. Since string functions, basically based on my research, based on my content preparing studying, I have found that I have categorized some single row functions into 4 types: string functions, and I'm going to write it down. I don't want to mark it down. The single row functions is called the, I think today my pen is more fast, string function. And the second type is the numeric function. How we can manipulate the strings, how we can work with the strings, that's are going to be done in this tutorial. Later tutorial we are going to work with the numbers and work with the date time. These are very important, guys. It's very little confusing, but trust me, I will be there, I will be with you, and don't worry about this topics. I will be take much better in these topics. So and last, in the singular function, we have discussed about the null types. So these are the 4 types. I am based on my content preparation, based on my research, I have found this categories these singular functions into 4 types. What are the statements? We are going to work with the strings, guys. We are going to work with the numeric types, and the main important thing is new date and times. We are going to done it. And last but not least is the null functions. And in the multi-row functions, we are going to discuss about the aggregate functions and the window functions. These are very important concepts. Most of the time, when we get into the interview for the data analyst, data scientist, and data engineering, these are the window functions, very important. So don't worry about it. I have prepared some dedicated tutorial about the windows functions later. So let's discuss about the, first of all, the today's agenda is about the string functions. The today's agenda is about the string functions. So let's get in it. Yes, guys, let's discuss about the string functions. That and the main agenda of this tutorial is the string functions. Let's dive into it. So basically, I categorized these string functions into 3 more categories, right? So what are the 3 categories? What is mean by the 3 categories, and the explanation of the 3 categories are done in this session. So already we discussed about the functions. I don't want to confuse you guys. Already we discussed SQL functions. Basically, SQL functions is of the 2 types: single row functions and multi row functions. And in the single row function, the main tutorial is about the single row functions. We are going to like this, going this way. And in the single row functions, I categories based on the content preparing, based on my deep research, I prepared string functions into 4 more categories. What are the 4 more categories? There is the string functions, numeric functions, date and time functions, null functions. And we discussed about this in this tutorial. We are going to discuss about the string functions, and in the string functions there are a lot of subcategories. So there are in the string functions we are going to discuss about that, how we can manipulate the strings, how we can calculate the strings. The calculation is about the counting the numbers or counting the digits in the strings, how we can extract some, fetching some results from the strings. That's are going to be extract in this tutorial. So I plan manipulation. Manipulation means we are going to transform, right, from one string into, from one string, like example, for example, if I caps put it my name as in the caps, and if I give to some functions, and it will be giving as output as a I want it as a lowercase, right? If I give it to the lower functions, I will give it as a small cases. So that's what we are going to transform some strings, like that's the meaning of the manipulations. So calculation is about that we are going to calculate some numerical values. Output is about the numerical value. So I'm done at the calculation. And we are going, the third type is a major part. We are going to extract some content from the string, right? So that's what the string extraction done here. So let's discuss about it. In the manipulation, we are going to discuss about the concat. Later we will discuss what are these types, what is the use cases of the functions. Later we will discuss. I planned and detail about this. Come with an, I have some sketches, guys. Trust me, this tutorial will be useful and it's worth for watching. And it's the second type is the upper, and the third type is the lower. And we are going to trim the strings, Don't think about this trimming. I'm going to trim the string. So later we will trim the strings. And we are going to discuss about the replace. That's what going to discuss about the manipulation of the strings. And we are going to discuss about the len of the strings in these are the and here also having the practical part as well as the theoretical part. Okay. On the string functions, and we are going to extract the string, right? So in the string function we are going to discuss about the left, right and substring. So that's what I'm going to say. Let's discuss about detailing. So we are going to see about the manipulation part. So let's discuss about it. And the main module is about the string functions. That's what I'm in this tutorial we are going to learn. We are going to some small steps get into the larger steps, right? So we can prepare some small steps. Okay, let's discuss about it. My tongue is twisting. I don't know. I'm going to blabber, but trust me, the content is worth. It's okay, fine. Let's discuss about this. So we are going to discuss about the string functions. The first type is called the concat functions. What is mean by the concat? Concat combines multiple strings into the one. If you have some examples, if I have my name Kishore, later we will discuss. See the concat. So we are going to concat some things, right? This is my first name and this is my last name. I want to concat. If I give these two strings, if I give these two strings into my concat function, concat is a function. If we give two strings into concat functions, and if it will be giving as output as a Kishore Kannan, it is my full name, right? If we give Kishore and the last name is Lytics, if we give you the two strings into the concat functions, and we'll be getting as a channel name, right? Subscribe to the KishoreLytics channel. So it's fun part. Let's discuss. Let's come into the theoretical part and the knowledge part. So if we give the first name and the last name to the concat functions, if we give the multiple strings, if we give the main motive is that if we give multiple strings, it will be given as output as a one string. That's what the already we discussed more detail about the concat function in Python crash course itself. If you want to see, if you want to become an data analyst, data enthusiast and software engineer, please make sure to watch that Python crash course. I've made an awesome tutorial about the Python crash course. Okay, have you guys beware of this concat functions? I think I prepared very detailly clear about, right? So let's go about the upper functions. Let's discuss about the upper functions. So what is mean by the upper functions? And we discuss about the lower functions also in this tutorial. So if we give the lowercase letter, if we give the lowercase letter, if we consider I'm giving K I S H O R E L Y T I C S. If we give the if we give this words, if we give the string, I'm talking about the word means it's called a string. If we give this word, if we give the string to the lower function, it will be given as the output as a small cases. All the letters are available in the small cases. That's what the lower functions will be done. And if we give the lower case letters and it will be giving as the output to the upper function, it will be giving as the output as a capital letter. All those things are available in the capital letter. That's what the upper and the lower functions are done. Upper function means it converts all the character to the uppercase, and the lower function means it converts all the character to the lower case. That's what the upper and the lower functions have been done. And let's discuss about the fun part and detailing in the practical part also in detailing later. And let's go to the fun part, right? We are going to trim the string. Trim means we are going to trim, not going to trim the beard. We are going to trim the strings based on the trailing spaces. And what is mean the trailing spaces, guys? Before getting into the trim, we want to know something about the trailing spaces. I'm going to write it by down. Trailing spaces. What is mean by the trailing spaces? Trailing spaces and leading spaces. Trailing spaces means nothing but the I think yeah, here I'm going to write here. Here there are in some cases when the user press some spaces before entering the name. So there is some spaces, right? That's called the trailing spaces. We are going to trim the string. That's what the trim functions work. It removes the leading and the trailing spaces. That's what the trim functions works. It removes the leading and the trailing spaces. See, if we give the John, if we here before it have some spelling spaces means if we give the trim functions, it will be giving as a John before without any trailing spaces and leading spaces. That's what the trim functions works. I think I have clear about these functions, right? So let's head into the last replace functions, and the replace functions is done by replace specific characters with a new character. if we are going to replace some specific character to the new character. So it means, yeah, describe this image, I'm going to replace the old value to the new value. So here I'm going to replace, consider this as my phone number, consider this as my phone number. If you want to replace this hyphen to nothing, I don't want to replace this but I don't want this hyphen, but I want to replace this with normal commas. Okay, right, that's what the replace functions. It not only replace but it also removes, it removes the minus hyphen, whatever going to be thinking. That's what the replace function actually done. I think I'm going to clear in flow. I'm going to very clear. So len functions, let's dive into the len functions, and this is called the, I think this is called the calculation part. So far we are done about the manipulation part. Manipulation part has been done, right? Manipulation, we have discussed about the concat function. What is meant by the concat function? Combines multiple strings into the one. And the upper function, it converts all the characters to the uppercase, and the lower function converts all the characters to the lowercase. And we are trim the lower space, leading spaces and trailing spaces. We are discussed about the trailing spaces and we are discussed about the leading spaces. That's what the trailing trim functions works. And we discuss about the replace. We are going to be replace them hyphen to the some characters, right? It not only replace, the main important note, right? It not only replace but it also removes. That's what the trim function replace function works. And now we are going to learn about the calculation part. Calculation part we are going to learn. So that's what the calculation part works. So we are going to count the how many characters are available in the string. If we consider KISHRORE, if we give this function to the len function, it gives the output as 7, because it will be count how many characters are present in the string. If I consider 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there are 7 letters in my name, and I will be getting as output as a 7. So that's what the len function works. I think I don't prepare these functions, right? So yeah, that's all. That's what the len function works. So now let's get into the string extraction part. I think we have done the calculation part also. And now let me take it down. Let me take this. So only we can able to. So far we have done the manipulation part and we have done the calculation part. And now we are going to discuss about the string extraction part. What is meant by the left, what is meant by the right, and what is meant by the substring. We are going to discuss on detail, and there is the absent sketches are available. So don't worry about this part. And it's a very interesting and very little bit confusing part also. So we are going to discuss. So what is meant by the left function? We are going to extract some specific number of the characters from the start. We are going to left means left. We are going to in Arabic we are going to start with this, right? But we are going to work with the English as main part. We are going to work with the English, right? English start from the left. English starts from the letters from the start, the word, the meaning of the letter from the left, right? So we are going to extract some specific number of the characters. We are going to extract some specific number of the characters. That's what the main understanding comes here. We are going to extract specific number of the characters from the start, beginning itself. And the right means we are going to extract the specific number of the characters at the end. At the end, we are going to extract some specific characters. That's what the right function works. And in the substring, we are going to extract a part in between. In between, if we want, already we have the specific number of the from. If you want to extract some information from the start, if you want to extract some information from the right, left, I mean in the end. If there is some function called left and right, if we want to extract some information from the middle of the string, means what we can do, that's what the substring function extracts. It extracts a part of the string at a specific position. If you mention the specific position, means that the part is going to be written as output. So let's discuss about this detail, right? We are going to discuss about the left and right functions. So what is meaning the functions? The syntax, we are to discuss about the syntax, right? Before this and all, we are going to give there is no syntax. The function means we give the functions means it will be given some output. That's what. But in the left function there is some syntax are available. So it will means the first syntax, we are going to left the functions and we are going to right what are the value. What are the value going to be? How many characters? Value means here the string. Don't confuse about this. Here the strings are what are the which string are going to extract and how many characters are going to be extract. That's what the left function syntax are going to be happen. So in this I want to extract some first two characters, and here left is equal to 2. If I mention left is equal to 2 means the left from the start only we are going to write from ki means the output is be ki. Have you guys beware? I'm explaining very clearly, right? So if you mention the left of value, left of Kishore, I'm going to write it by down, then only you can able to understand. Left of Kishore, comma 2. I want to extract some information. The output, if I give this to the function, and it will be giving us the output as a ki, because the as the visa get, we are going to extract some from the beginning itself, right? 1, 2. So that's what the output is about the ki. Have you guys before? And now we are going to discuss about the write. What does mean by write? We are going to extract the information at the end. That's what the write function, right? So we are going to extract the last two characters. If you mention the last two characters, the last two characters is re. That's what yeah, that's not visible, right? My face is visible at the re. See, we are going to extract with the right equal to 2 means we are going to re at last we are going to 1 and 2. That's what going to be the output. We are going to extract some information at the end means re. That's what the left and right function. Are you guys beware? I'm successfully completed the left and right functions in very clear way, right? Yes, guys. Let's discuss about the SUBSTRING function in very detail. So let's dive into it. So in this tutorial, in this syntax, the syntax of the SUBSTRING function is called the value and the start length, and it's called how many characters are going to be extract. How many? After that, how many? So let's make this SUBSTRING function as dynamic, right? So what is mean by in the length function? We have learned, right? In the length, we have learned some functions called learn. I think we have learned, right? So I think yeah, we have learned account how many characters are going to be are available in the string. We have learned about the len functions. Now in the substring gonna be we don't want to extract the static value. We are going to be extract the dynamic value. So after this, consider I'm going to be write it down again. Substring of Kishore. I'm going to be extract. After this, I want to extract from the stop part, from which part I am going to be extract as the output. So from 2, from second part. And after this, I am going to extract as a len function. If you give the len function, it's gonna be happen as a dynamic. What are the characters? It may be the Kishore, it may be the KishoreLytics, it may be the Kishore content. What are the characters? After the 2, after the 2, after the what are the characters after available at the 2? What are the going to be available as the output? That's what the substring functions are available. So now I think I've done that very clearly, right? So far we have discussed about the recap. We have lightly go up the recap. We have to discuss about the functions, and in the function we have discussed about the singular functions. We have discussed about the multi-row functions, and we have discussed about the nested function detailing. What is mean the nested functions? We have the output of the functions is given as the input to the another function. That's what the and the function inside the function. So that's what the next function has been done, and we discuss about the category single row functions and multi-row functions. We are discussed about the use cases of the multi-row functions, and we discuss about the main. We are discuss about the string functions, and in the string function we have to manipulate the data, we have to calculate the data, we have to extract some information, right? Concat, upper, lower, we discussed, right? So a lot of the functions we have discussed. Now let's discuss about the practical part of these functions detailing in the practical part. Let's dive into it. Yes guys, now let's enter into the practical part of the string functions. So far we have learned about the functions, right? We have discussed about the single row functions, multi-row functions, and we have discussed about the string functions. And in the string functions we have discussed about a lot of types of the functions, right? Now let's discuss about these string functions. So we have the first we have discussed about the so far we have discussed about the concat functions. What is meant by the functions, right? We are going to concat the raw line. I'm in my customers table, in my customers database I have the raw line as a column name, so that's what I am keeping. We are going to concat this hyphen and Coimbatore to this. We are going to merge some multiple strings into single functions. So that's what the I think this. That's what the concat functions works, right? We are going to merge, right? We are going to write merge, right? That's what the multiple strings into the single row one function, one string, multiple strings into the one string. That's what the concat functions are, right? We are going to select concat of raw line of comma, we are going to merge, right? We are that things. Now if I going to write down, now I want to connect it. Yeah, yeah, good. Merge it, right? Successfully or merge, right? So that's what the concat functions works. And in this, convert the first name to the lowercase. Now I'm going to, for here not the first name, here the raw line, I'm going to type as raw line. So that's what the we are going to convert the raw line. So that's what we are going to convert. See, first of all, let's discuss what are the tables, what are the columns. These are the columns are available in my customers table. So now I'm going to select lower of, this is the function, we are going to lower of raw line as a lowercase name and from the customers table. Now if I write merge it down, means if I convert the lowercase, means see, these are the Joseph, Colbeck, Germany 350 are available, right? That's what the lower functions works. So now we are going to see uppercase upper functions. So that's what the same, the opposite. And we have discussed about the trim functions, right? I'm going to write about the trim functions. We are going to select and we are going to trim the raw line, right? Raw line. So far we discussed as a trimmed trimmed space. Let's discuss about trim string. Okay, let's keep it as trim string. And now it's coming from the customers table, and the order of the execution, and we are discussed about the DQL, DML, DDL, all those steps are available in my previous tutorials. So please make sure to watch the tutorial and after come to this. So that's only you can able to understand this. Okay, now if I write it down, means if I execute this, the trailing spaces are ended. So that's what the works, that's how it works, right? So we are going to remove the dashes from the phone number and replace it as the slashes. So we are going to select, 1 2 3 4. This is consider, this is my phone number, but this is not my phone number. Consider this is my phone number as phone, and we are going to replace it. We are going to use the replace function as 1 2 3, and we are going to give what are the strings are going to replace and what is the new string are going to replace. We are going to remove this, right? Remove the hyphen, are going to remove the hyphen to hyphen slash. That's what the how it works. If I go and be select this and if I execute this, yeah, the 1 2 3 has been done and it will be measured as 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0. That's what it is. And if I want to report a txt to the .txt to .csv, so that's what it happens, right? Report a txt, the output is this, the new file name is the report.csv. We are going to replace it. And now let's discuss that. So far we are completed the manipulation part. Now let's get into the calculation part, and we are discuss about this, right? Select, okay, len functions. These are the 29 characters and 21 characters are available in Mary. 15 characters, 15 words are available, and 26 characters are available in the fourth column, and 17 characters are available in the. Now let's discuss about the string extraction part, right? So if you this is the len right, I mean nested functions. This is the nested function, how it works, and that's what I am going to explain here. If we consider select the raw line, we are going to consider the raw line, and we are going to extract the first two results, and we are going to trim the trailing spaces also. That's what the first two characters, right? So that's what is going to be happen. It means the 1 2 3 4 5 6 dot also going to be extracted. And the right also same, the right functions are explained in the theoretical session itself. This is the right practical part. That's what I'm going to going through this, right? That's what this. And we discuss about the substring functions, and we discuss about the substring functions, how to dynamically use it. This is the dynamic functions are going to be explained in detail in the theoretical session. Please make sure to rewind this video. If you do not if you have any doubts, means please let me know in the comment box. I'm happy to share all those functions. And we discuss about the upper functions. Yeah, next in functions also we have discussed upper of, lower of. What are the functions are given as the output and given as the output to the output function are given as the output to the another function. That's for the upper functions. I think we have completed string functions, right? We have completed string functions. So string, right? String. We have completed the string functions, and that's up for this video. This is Kishore and signing up from KishoreLytics channel. Tata, bye bye.